The topic, Travis Kelce. The question, was that contract worth it or was it an underpayment? Let's just get into it. So I gotta be honest, with Kittle's contract and now Kelce's contract, it's surprising that these guys aren't necessarily making as much money as I would have thought. I don't know if it's the coronavirus, which is, they're fearing the cap not going up or something like that. But I do kind of feel like these contracts probably should be a little bit higher. But that being said, I'll touch more on that at the end of this video. First, I'm just going to talk about what Kelce does so well. I'm just going to talk about his receiving game because he's probably the best receiving tight end in the NFL. We'll start things off with a play like this. This is a cover one play, and it's man coverage against Oakland. And oftentimes on these types of plays, you will have someone running the route that Kelce is running. But typically, you have a receiver do this. Typically, it's not going to be a tight end running this type of route because, a receiver can get down the field faster. Obviously, usually that's the way it goes. And right when this ball is snapped, you notice that the Oakland Raider who's in charge of covering Kelce, he immediately gets his right hand out. He wants to create contact with Kelce. He wants to try and slow Kelce down. It makes some sense. They're basically on an island. There's a lot of ground where Kelce could potentially try and get open, sort of in the area where he is going to be running. So using some contact right here typically does make some sense, but not against a guy like Kelce. That contact does not slow him down at all. He's able to get enough separation, and Mahomes doesn't need much separation to make a deep throw down the field. He's able to get the completion, and Kelce was able to run down there quick enough that it was a touchdown. So, it's a route that's favorable towards a receiver, but, when you factor on the fact that Kelce is a tight end, and he can still run a type of route, and he was able to get open enough, again, not wide open, but that's a pretty big window, and honestly, with Mahomes, he's going to make that throw 9 out of 10 times, so having someone who can get open, even when he's not getting wide open, he can still get enough separation consistently. That just does a lot for this Kansas City Chiefs offense. I also like this play. Again, it's going to be man coverage with a single safety deep, so relatively similar, except this time Kelce's going to be running a route to the outside. So this is basically going to be a one-on-one matchup the whole time, whereas the last play, there was a safety who could have ran over and gotten into the play. This time, there's no chance of that happening. This is going to be a one-on-one matchup throughout the entire route. But what I love about this is how Kelce runs this route. Watch how he runs towards the middle. And at this point, what's crazy about this is that the Oakland defender who's in charge of covering him, he is fully expecting this to be a route over the middle. He is completely confident this is going to be something over the middle. He is not expecting in any way for this to be a route that's going to be deeper and towards the outside. So much so that when Kelce turns on the jets and goes as fast as he can, look at how open he gets. That's just, again, a great route ran by Kelce, and again, he kind of fools you because he is so big. He is a tight end. You don't expect him to be as fast as he is, and if you're not careful, he can really burn you, and he just showed that right there. He does have incredible speed for a tight end, but I do want to be clear. He's not one of those guys that's basically just a wide receiver that's listed as a tight end in the depth chart because they block a decent amount. He's someone who can legitimately use his physicality to an advantage, even against linebackers, and this is an example of that, where that's exactly what he's going to do on this play against Baltimore. I mean, he's not going up against a linebacker, but, in terms of him using his physicality, this is an example of it, where, again, it's going to be a similar coverage. This time he's running over the middle, though, so a little bit different, because, again, there's also going to be a linebacker covering the middle of the field, meaning that for Kelce, he's not going to be a ton open throughout this entire route. He's really probably only going to get open if he does get open later on in the route. So it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get open. And you notice that right when this ball is snapped, there's a ton of contact at the line. The player who is covering Kelce, again, he's being smart here. He's using the contact, and he kind of has the mindset of, if Kelce does push off of me and he does get, disengage in his contact, I want to make sure he does it towards the middle of the field, not towards the outside. Because if I get myself out of position and Kelce gets open towards the sideline, well, then there can be an opening. But he knows he has help over the middle, and so he's more okay with Kelce beating him over the middle. But Kelce's not just going to beat him, he just throws him off of him. Another Baltimore player sort of runs into Kelce, but that's not enough to slow him down, and he picks up a huge gain, because again, he does have the speed to get over there quick enough. So once again, it's really that combination of speed and size, which just does so much for Kelce. When you talk about guys who make it look easy, this is an example of someone making it look easy. Travis Kelce is exactly going to make it look easy on this play. It's zone coverage that they're going up against. And for Kelce, nothing too fancy. He's just trying to find a gap in this zone and coverage. I mean, this is a pretty simple thing. You run over there. And basically the way it works is that you get there and you just, the hope is that no other player realizes what's going on and adjusts where they are on the field to make sure they can cover up where you are. For example, if one of the Baltimore players who was in charge of covering the middle of the field saw Kelce was open deeper down the field, they would just run deep with him and follow him. That's what you would typically do. But what you're going to see Kelce do is have a very staggered step and then sprint very quickly to get to that spot. And he looks back so quickly that he's able to make the play the second that he gets open. So he's only open for a split second, but that's all he needs. Him and Mahomes are on the same page so quickly that he just gets to that spot so well. And he does this so frequently. Again, this seems like it's something that, like, well, how much control do you really have over it? And that's, I think, fair. But when he does it as frequently as he does, or he's a zone coverage killer. He's not just a man coverage killer. He really can kill you in zone as well. When he's able to get through those gaps in coverage so quickly that the next thing the second you realize he's in a position where he could be in good shape, it's too late and the ball's in his hands. So that's just one of the many things that makes Kelce such an elite receiving threat at the tight end position. And yeah, like I said, I genuinely don't understand why someone like Kelce is only going to be getting, it looks like, under $15 million a year. Now, granted, I get it. He's, 30 years old. So, a 4-year deal. Who knows how well he'll be at the end of it. So I get it. I mean, if you just look at receiving stats, in the past 4 seasons, Kelce has had better receiving yards than someone like Amari Cooper, who just got $20 million a year for the Cowboys. And also, I mean, even Kelce's best, even if you look at Cooper's best season, which was last year, Cooper had 1,100 receiving yards where Kelce had over 1,200 receiving yards. So, he really is. He's putting up really good receiver numbers as a tight end, and he's also a really good blocking tight end. I think it's a steal. I think the new move is definitely get a tight end and pay for them because they can be so valuable. I don't really get why he's only getting paid this much. I think this is kind of a steal. Granted, maybe Kansas City is kind of saying, hey, do you want to play for a winning team? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, okay, we're going to give you a few million less a year, but you get to play for the Chiefs, and Mahomes will throw you a football, and this will be, you're probably going to be a Hall of Famer anyways, but this will make things a little bit easier. And he says, okay, fine, sounds good, which I could see that for sure. So maybe that's it. It's hard to say, but to me, this is, they had definitely spent top dollar on some other positions, obviously giving Mahomes $500 million. But for Kelce, I think this is a good deal. And, again, Kelce's in a great spot. He gets to play for a great organization. And, he also is still getting a lot of money, so it definitely works out for him. What do you guys think of this contract? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.